Hello, Gamergate. Long time no see. Alright, let's skip past the pleasantries and get right down to business. So, in this hectic time that we're in right now, it's kind of a consolation to look back and dwell upon our repeated efforts for peace. Now, most of them have been ill-starred, but all have been faithful and sincere. This is of the highest moral value, not just moral value, but practical value, right now, because the wholehearted concurrence of scores of men and women whose cooperation and camaraderie and togetherness are indispensable is the only foundation upon which this trial and tribulation of bizarre war of words can be endured and surmounted. This moral conviction of ours alone affords that ever-fresh resilience which renews and strengthens and energizes people in long, doubtful, dark days. Among the opposition, the storm of words may blow up and their backs may be lashed with the fury of its gales, but in our own hearts, there is peace. Our keyboards may be active, our minds ever inquisitive, but our consciences are at rest. We must not underrate the gravity of the task which lies before us, or the temerity of the ordeal to which we shall not be found unequal. We must expect many disappointments and many unpleasant surprises. But we may be sure that the task which we have freely accepted is one not beyond the compass and collective strength of everyone who has thrown in their support. This is not a question of fighting for the next AAA or indie game. We struggle to save the whole industry from the pestilence of puritanical tyranny and in defense of all that is most sacred to artists and consumer alike. Our struggle is not a struggle for domination or self-aggrandizement or material gain. No move to shackle any artist from the sunlight and any means of expressing themselves. It's a struggle viewed in its inherent quality, to establish the rights of the individual. And it is a struggle to establish and revive the very nature of expression within video games, if not art itself as a whole. Make no doubt, the dour puritanism of our opposition can indeed move people to outrage, but it proves ill-suited to the hopeful mood required of influencing the mainstream over the long term. Nor does it really bode well for the opposition's longevity that many of its supposed allies are showing fatigue and despair, and, on top of that, they've shown themselves to have a predisposition to shooting themselves in the foot. I refer to the recent Law & Order SVU episode about gamers. See, for them, it was all fun and games when it was their narrative that gamers are misogynistic, or FemFreaks favored games make you misogynistic, because it was purely an attack on their opposition. But now, someone more powerful than them has taken their narrative and made it into a joke, something more akin to a Saturday morning cartoon villain's plot. As a result, we've now traveled back to the days of Jack Thompson, where gaming is being attacked for being violent and causing violence in people, a position that Jonathan McIntosh and a few other pro-corruption individuals seem to hold. Keep in mind that the people who indeed want to promote this idea, in fact, have no horse in this race. What happened now is that the narrative is being promoted among the uninitiated, people outside and unfamiliar with the industry. They're now facing accusations about their hobby and the way it's presented, the untold amounts of violence video games cause in the world. So I extend a heartfelt congratulations to the opposition. You've single-handedly done irreparable harm to a beloved hobby by screaming so loud for so long that games are misogynistic that you've revived the games cause violence mantra, because one inevitably leads to the other. You can't claim one without admitting the other. When you start having to argue against people that shooting in a game doesn't want to make you murder in real life against people who don't want to play games, remember to thank yourselves for that. You, our opposition, are going to have ostracized the hobby you apparently, supposedly, love so much. Good luck trying to promote games as art, or any other narrative for that matter, among non-gamers when now they think you're going to go Columbine on them at the drop of a hat. And don't kid yourselves, this is a direct result of endless hyperbole and willfully malicious misinformation that gamers, not just Gamergate, are rapists, misogynists, KKK, ISIS, and terrorists. Why is it that way? Simple. this is exactly what they wanted. I mean, why else spend months and months having newspapers and websites harping about how our hobby is a boys' club? Gamergate tried to deny that assertion as a red herring by the bloggers. By denying this assertion and offering resistance, we somehow proved in their minds that we're just a bunch of racist MRAs bent on terrorism, and now somehow rapist luchadors with rape dungeons in our parents' basements. God, that show was a mess. Thanks to the copy and paste nature of modern journalism, any manufactureversy churned out by our hilariously corrupted gaming blog emporium is taken at 100% face value and end up with the New York Times blasting gamers as misogynist man-children. Generalizations being generalized even more and broadcast worldwide. All because bloggers threw us under the bus in mass coordination. Because why would the face of an entire industry lie about their audience? Remember, this is exactly what they wanted. I say to the opposition, look upon the fruit of your labors. Look upon the new age reefer madness you've created, and revel in your work. Now some of you may think this is too harsh, and that to wish for these outlets to be gone, and for jobs to be terminated, a step too far. And I would have agreed with you. But that was before. This was what they wanted, Gamergate. They fired all their nukes and wonder why the Earth is scorched. Better yet, they fired all their nukes at a group that mostly already dwelled in a toxic hellscape where nuclear mutants survive. These are the folks who think themselves are intellectual superiors, Gamergate, guardians of a medium, creative gatekeepers for an entire industry, and it's the dawning of an age where the rest of the industry wakes up, smells the hair dye, and realizes this isn't true in the slightest. Remember, Gamergate, there should be no sympathy for people who took it upon themselves to baselessly slander an entire industry that includes swaths of people from diverse backgrounds. Nobody is entitled to their paycheck, especially when they've done a piss-poor job at earning it. So now that it's been seen that the face of the industry can't be trusted to honestly cover and report on said industry, it basically leaves us with the developers and the consumers. Now, consumers will not be taken seriously except by the developers. Because developers, ultimately, work for the consumers. The rest can just kind of go boil. After all, you're already dead. You're not even their audience. So what worry is it of yours what happens to them?